Episode 15, Episode 15, 15, Episode 15, The Role of Congress. Making laws. Congress's most important role. How do Congress members make these policy decisions? What influences how they vote? Most of the time, these decisions aren't very easy because they have to think about a few things. They got to think about their own personal beliefs, constituents' interests, interest groups' concerns, and political party loyalty. There have been many studies done that show that a congressperson's personal beliefs, so I'm right here, personal beliefs. That was a terrible arrow, sorry. What was I saying? Yes. A congressperson's personal beliefs about what promotes the public good will significantly influence his or her voting decisions. So what that means is that they will base how they vote on their personal beliefs. For example, in 1990, many Congress members voted against a constitutional amendment, so it wasn't just a law, they were trying to change the Constitution, that would ban flag burning. Even though most of the citizens that they represented, agreed with that and supported it, a lot of the Congress members believed that an amendment like that would limit the citizens' right of freedom of speech. So they didn't pass it as an amendment. However, they did agree that there should be some sort of legislation or a piece of law or just a general law that would ban it. It didn't need to be part of the Constitution, though. The second thing that plays an impact or plays a role on how Congress members make their decisions or make their laws and such, how they vote, is constituents' interests. Now, the first thing you need to know is, what is a constituent? A constituent is simply the resident of the district of the Congress member. So it's just a resident. It's a fancy way to say resident of, what did I just say? Resident of district. So what that means is our Congress members take into consideration what we, their citizens, really want for our country. So the third force influencing congressional voting is interest groups. And what an interest group is, it's a group of people who come together to achieve shared political goals. We also know interest groups as lobbies or lobbyists. So what these interest groups or lobbies do is they provide information on issues, suggest legislation to Congress members, and promote legislation that is favorable to their groups. So basically, they get into Congress members' heads and try to convince them to vote for them and what they want. A really well-known interest group or lobby is the NRA. The NRA is the National Rifle Association. One way that interest groups and lobbyists contribute to Congress members is through their campaigns. So in the elections, we've heard a lot of people talking about, especially Donald Trump talks a lot about how he's never taken money from other people and how his rivals or opposing members, presidential candidates, have taken money from lobbyists and interest groups to pay for their campaigns. They do that through political action committees, or PACs. PAC. And that's how lobbyists can pay Congress members. They do that by paying for their campaigns. The last thing that influences lawmakers and how they vote is their party loyalty. So it's been shown that party loyalty is key on votes in Congress, and it's increased over the last 20 years. So that means that if a Republican brings a law on to the table, then they can assume that the rest of the Republicans in Congress will vote for them just because they're Republican. A lot of the times that happens, but sometimes you will have outliers. Well, they will not agree with it fundamentally, so they won't vote just for their party. But party loyalty makes a big difference in Congress. The next role of Congress is overseeing agencies. Congress is very responsible for overseeing the performance of government agencies. How does it do this? It does so with oversight. Oversight, super important. Oversight involves conducting investigations of agency actions and programs. Congress oversees every aspect of agency behavior and investigates such matters as why an agency has been slow in regulating the use of toxic chemicals, whether discrimination has taken place in an agency, or why an agency's expensive new computer system is not working. So basically, Congress is Big Brother to Big Brother. A really good example of congressional oversight is after we had gone into Iraq, we had used, unconventional methods of gathering information. And Congress found that some of our methods were not appropriate. And that was done through congressional oversight and congressional hearings. Basically, what I was just saying is that's where Congress found out that the CIA was waterboarding and was trying to figure out whether or not that's torture. And the last major role of Congress is helping its constituents. Remember, what's a constituent? A constituent is a resident in the district of the Congress member. So how can they help all of their constituents? They do so many ways. They do so through individual requests, detecting patterns, and handling requests. An individual request is literally what you're thinking. It's me, Miss Seth, writing to my Congress member, who in Irvine would be, I believe, John Campbell. And I'd say, "Dear Mr. Campbell, I don't like that the train tracks are so close to my house. Please move them." And then he may or may not get back to me. If he was a good Congress member, he'd get back to me. I'm sure he would, because he's pretty cool. The next is detecting patterns. So while all of us are individually writing letters to our Congress members, his staff members are reading through his mail and looking for patterns in what we individuals are writing about. So if a ton of people start writing about how, student loans are getting denied, maybe he's going to look into that and see what's going on with that and make a change for us. And lastly, actually handling the requests. Now, as much as I would love to say our Congress members all do their own work and handle every single request that we, the constituents, have for them, that's unrealistic and untrue. Most of the request handling ends up being done by their staff members. On occasion, though, constituents whom the Congress member particularly values, maybe a close family friend, a campaign contributor, large employer in the local community, will get direct help from the actual Congress member themselves.
Lay, sir, yeah,
Kane is in the building.
yeah. Alright, already the show goes on all night till the morning. We dream so long.